So today we're going to talk just a little bit about concept maps and why we are doing these. So concept maps we're going to use to help you learn basically in a more active way. Remember that learning occurs along two continuums, active versus passive learning. Passive obviously is things like, oh, you just flipping through your notes or just randomly highlighting, not really engaging with the material. Active learning helps you to learn a lot better because your brain is actually involved in the process and your brain is making connections. Remember, it's the process that actually counts. Concept maps are going to be logical, okay? So it's helping your brain to do what it does best, which is making connections with stuff that you already know, okay? So you're going to create connections between ideas and then encode the information in a way that makes it easier for your brain to actually retrieve the information later on. So if you're not actively engaged in your learning process, then you're not going to be as successful in retaining the information for later on. Okay, so really we're doing this to really help you learn the material in a better way, in a more logical way that it makes sense to you. And if you do it correctly or, good concept maps, it's going to make logical sense to me as well. Okay, so remember, think of it as a more engaging way of interacting with the information so that you're actually processing what you're learning. So sometimes concept maps kind of look like this. There is a central theme or a concept that you're trying to explain, and there are some major topics, subtopics that branch out of that major concept. Okay, and then those guys are going to branch out even further. Okay, so remember, you're trying to look for relationship between concepts and the sub-concepts or the steps, definitions, whatever it is that we're talking about. Okay, so this is kind of like a generalized version. Okay, this is a very specific example on, why do people purchase chocolates? Are they doing it based on quality, nutrition, taste, or price? All right, and then the subtopics with these guys, you could see they kind of branch off into different ways, but it makes logical order sense. It's in a way where you can process the information to something that you have already known. Okay, so here's a specific life science example. This is a DNA, so the main topic is up here. A DNA example, you could see the subtopics and then how it branches through. And sometimes it connects to other branches and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Your concept maps that you're going to be making through the website Coggle is going to look something like this. You're going to have your central idea or your title, in our case here, okay, and then there's a subcategory there's 3 subcategories in that one, and then there's topics within that first subcategory, and then they go into details, examples, whatever it is. Okay, so yours is going to be more colorful and have actual content related to it, but this is kind of a key that you can kind of look at later on as well. Now, a good concept map is going to have these features. Remember, it's probably going to be organized by color, layout, grouping, etc., whatever it is, so that it's going to be easy for us to tell which parts of the map are related, and really easy to navigate between things. Okay, it's going to be based on conceptual relationships. It has to be clear and has to make sense. It needs to be concise enough to see the ideas that are grouped together, but not so spread out so it's going to be like crazy scrolling back and forth. You're going to, again, make a logical connection between the ideas that are related or sub-related. Okay, as you're expanding those ideas. You're linking terms and phrases together. It needs to be hierarchical. Okay, so remember the elements are going to have subtopics, and then subtopics, the details that go along with it. You're going to connect new information to what you already know and extend the knowledge, okay, so that you're exploring the new relationships. You're going to include examples so that it helps to clarify the different concepts. Okay, you're going to include definitions of important key terms, and in anatomy there's a lot of key terms, right? Okay, so you're going to focus on the really, really important, the major ones as well, or the ones that are in the prompt. Okay, you're going to provide references to the different materials if necessary, or if you did. Okay, and then it needs to serve a purpose, which is to summarize an entire unit's worth of work in of very complex information. Okay, so you're going to try to describe it in a chronological order, or give a set of instructions, illustrate a specific problem, or solving something, or expand upon different subtopics within the major unit. Okay, whatever it is, that is the prompt. Okay, so make sure you refer back to the prompt constantly. So this is the website that we will be using, remember, Coggle.it. Okay, after you have signed up for that first time, you're going to click on the log in using your school Google account, your school GAFE account. Remember, you're going to log in using Google. I'm going to provide you with the prompts and the directions. Okay, so sometimes I call it prompts and the requirements. So prompts are going to look something like this in the top. The concept map should have a section, okay, so a main branch for each of the following themes. All right, so you're going to have a title in the center, and it's going to branch off into these themes. So in this example, this is a cell example, okay, you're going to have one branch going as organelles, another one going as plasma membrane, another one going as transport mechanism, active and passive. It's going to branch in those two categories. And then protein synthesis, cellular respirations, and mitosis. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 6 different branches going out from that main center box. All right, and then all of those, if you just have those guys, that's not good enough. You need to make those guys branched out even more, so that you're talking about definitions, you're talking about processes, you're talking about similar concepts. Whatever it is that you have learned from that portion, you need to embed into those and into your concept map. Okay, remember to submit your original work. You cannot, I will not accept 2 identical or almost identical concept maps. They should look very different from each other. Okay, maps identical to online sources. So if you copied it from the internet, okay, or from each other, they're not going to be accepted. I will give 0s to all parties that are involved. Okay, so make sure you include the topics, all these topics. Make sure to include all of the topics that are mentioned above. And this is actually going to change with every single different concept map that we give you. Okay, the more detail you add, the more it'll help you with whatever it is you're studying for. Okay, the content must be accurate and it must make sense. Remember, logically, it needs to make sense. Okay, so be sure to do that. If you just include the bare minimum, then it's going to be a C. You need to include a lot more details in order to get an A in these assignments. Be sure to read through the suggestions, because this is a good starting point for you with your concept maps. Okay, remember, include major terms, definitions, examples. Okay, more is actually better.